Welcome to the 0 to a Million Challenge. We have the man who I called first, Mr. David Olds, the man whose company was it 3,300 transactions last year. Am I beefing it up a little bit?
Yeah, you beefed it up. It's 2,202 last year, but we'll do over 3,500 this year. So okay, a lot of deals, man.
A lot of deals. David Olds, he's one of the sponsors of the challenge. We just lost a contract because I fucked up, but he has, I think, 13 contracts with us right now.
Yeah, that's a bunch. Yeah, dude, I left to go away for 12 days, come back, and dude, you'd loaded up the pipeline. I love it.
But thank you so much for coming on, bro. Your team is so professional, amazing. They've been really helpful.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So today, I want to talk about what kills deals and really what we should be doing to keep our transactions running smoothly. I think for this, I try to bring on all the experts who are going to advise me, and I reached out to you because I knew you do the most transactions out of anybody, honestly.
Yeah.
And to see what should I be looking out for as we're doing this. Number one for sure was I should have known the timeline on that dude we just lost a tax sale.
Oh yeah.
No clue. We just lost him to tax sale, I think 2 days on Friday.
Oh, okay.
And he wasn't even priority in our list. We didn't even have the escrow opened yet because I thought we had time.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I have this conversation all the time. So many title problems started acquisitions. Just not only just buying at the right price, right? Because if your price isn't good, you're never going to dispo it. So that's the first thing. But even within that, it's just learning to ask really great questions on the front side. And I know this isn't an issue for you, but some of our clients when they first come on, their acquisitions guys are so excited to get the contract that they'll just do anything to get to the point where it's where they sign on the dotted line. And it's sometimes it's simple stuff like. Hey, Mrs. Smith, how's the kitchen? Oh, kitchen's great. And they just keep on moving instead of, hey, well, tell me a little bit about it. Oh, well, there are these plywood cabinets with green countertop and a metal band that goes around the edge. So it's, a la circa 1950. And then, what do we know? Well, we should have added in for a $20,000 kitchen. But if you don't do that, now you're $20,000 high. And if you do that in one spot in the house, chances are you did it all over the house. And now you're shocked that buyers are telling you you're $50,000 high, right? So, yeah, I mean, so much is in the acquisitions side. Then, just really making sure that you find out from the seller just some information like, hey, Mrs. Smith, and however you want to ask it, you can soft shoe this a little differently, but, who's on title, who else will be signing? Sometimes it's if it's a probate lead, then, well, where are you at in that process? Or, just trying to figure out everything you can on the front side. Not that we can't fix it in transactions, but the more whether it's it's in foreclosure or there's bad tenants or tax sale, anything like that, that's going to help you all the way through your process, right? So if it's a tax deed or it's coming up on a tax sale or a foreclosure sale, well, now you're on the clock, right? You should be able to hear in your ear. You've only got a limited amount of time, so everybody has to spring to action just maybe a little bit quicker than they normally would, but. So that information on our side, the more of that you can give us, the easier it is, right? We just know up front, this guy's in bankruptcy. Here's the bankruptcy attorney. This is who we're going to have to contact. So yeah, just, asking lots of questions on the acquisition side. And, what I tell people is pretend you're really going to buy this house. What would you need to know? I get that we're wholesaling, dude. I've wholesaled thousands of houses. I get it. We're all in a rush, but, the more information you can get on the front side, the better it is, because that's going to include and increase your close rate, which is really the only thing that matters, right? Getting the contract, it's cool. It's fun to ring the bell, hit the gong. It's cool to dispo a property, but if we can't get it over the finish line, all that was for nothing.
How do you get around this Illinois stuff?
Which stuff in Illinois? The wholesaling laws?
Yeah. Do we just have to double close out there? Because we've gotten I think we have 3 over there right now.
Yeah, Illinois is not the easiest place. It's not as bad as South Carolina now, but yeah, we've got some title companies that'll do it out there. Some of the people that are licensed regionally, they're a little bit more flexible.
It's we're getting a bunch of shit on the Illinois side of St. Louis.
Yeah. St. Louis is It's a challenging area. That was the second market I went to virtually years ago. And our acquisitions, my partner that was doing acquisitions, got 9 contracts in the first day. I was like, everybody they talked to wanted to sell. Have you been to St. Louis? Have you actually been there?
I've never been there.
So dude, there's this 20 square block area that's it looks like it's from The Walking Dead, man. It's literally abandoned, beautiful. I mean, at one point there were these amazing townhomes, and people are buying them, and suckers from out of town are buying them and getting stuck with them. So they're basically giving these things away for free. So we're buying them, and we're like, oh my God, we got 10 contracts today. We're going to be rich. Order the jet. Yeah, couldn't sell any of them.
That's what we're running into, to where we have to buy them at 5 to 14.
Yeah.
And we're only going to make, if we make 10 grand, we're dope. But it'll be tough.
Yeah, I get it. When we were running Nationwide Property Liquidators, that was a problem. When I switched over to PPC, years ago, just when hedge funds were getting started, I went out and I just tracked where all the funds were buying, right? All the hedge funds. And, it kind of had me all over the country, Buffalo, New York, Detroit, all these areas, and Memphis. And just because an area, a hedge fund, think of who they are. They are, they're buying to be landlords, right? Which is cool, but that doesn't necessarily equate to it being a good market for wholesalers, right? So Memphis, and it's the same thing you just described, landlords, hedge funds, whoever, they're buying these things at maybe 40 grand, putting 40 in them to be in them at 80 to sell turnkey to an end buyer at 120. And that's a cool business model for them. But for us, that means they want to buy it at 40. Shit, I got to buy it at 20. You know what I mean? I mean, you're having to buy so ridiculously cheap to try to make your money out on them. Just some markets, just the juice isn't really worth the squeeze. Birmingham is that way. Birmingham's kind of a shithole. Honestly, if I lived there, I'd be the king of Birmingham because I'd do so many deals. But working virtually, it just gets tough because it gets so block by block in some areas.
Well, the one thing I think we're running into, we have 2 in Detroit right now, and I think they're legitimate deals. We have one we're trying to sell for 60 that's worth 150, and we're having trouble selling it in Detroit. And a comp right next to it sold last month for 180.
Yeah.
And I've never had a buyer set the market because I cut my teeth in California. Yeah. And the sellers set the market.
Yeah. Man, this is the problem in those markets that are so heavily. There's more supply than buyers, right? So this is where you get, nationwide, they say the 1% rule. It rents for 1,000, it'll sell for 100,000. Well, when you get into an area where there's not a lot of buyers, or they're just so oversaturated with product, well, these guys want to buy, the house that rents for $1,000 for 50 grand. Right. So that's what you get in a lot of these northern markets for a lot of reasons. One, there's less buyers. There's no pressure on the market, meaning people aren't moving into that market. Right. So Chattanooga, we're loaded up with pressure, man. Like the minute we have something for rent, it could be a shithole. You put it up on the market and you're going to rent it. So there's a lot of demand in a market, but in these northern markets, you don't have that. And that's not a political thing. It's just people are moving to where it's fucking warm. So this is what happens in those areas. So for me, years ago, I had a map of the US, my investor lift map, and I literally drew a line and I'm put X's all across all the northern states. I'm fuck this. We are not going to be in these areas anymore because we're working our ass off for $4,000, $6,000 assignment fees. So that's why we went basically Sunbelt South. Not that you can't do deals up there, but they're just better places to do them,
That's what I'm going to have to talk to Drew over at Lead Zillow because I feel like we're low-key spinning our tires, dude.
No, 100%. Well, you are. Because you're doing the same work that it would take in Jacksonville to do a deal, or Macon, Georgia, or Atlanta, or Raleigh, Charlotte, Gastonia, all these great markets, Texas. You're doing the same work, but you'll get deals easier because you're the only person up there calling them, right? So what I used to tell my guys when you get something rural or in an area like that where we really don't want to be, whatever your low number is, offer them half because we don't want the deal. And I've got to make it so ridiculously cheap that I can actually sell it.
You can actually sell it.
So those are not the areas where you want to be I better offer more because, here's this is what I used to have to explain to my acquisitions team, right? You could put a bunch of shit under contract, but then it's going to go over to dispo and you're just going to wear them out. The best dispo. Like I'm one of the best dispo guys out there. I am. That's the thing I'm really good at. But man, even me, like a month of that shit, I'd be like, fuck this. This is, oh, I'm sorry. We're on Facebook. I probably shouldn't swear. But
no, bro, you're good.
It feels like you're dragging bricks up the hill, right? Like it's just, you just wear out. If you had the best team ever assembled, the all-star team of dispo, me and Tony Mont and, Nick Perry, and, you'll wear them out, just,
Okay,
it's
good.
You know what I mean?
At the beginning, I was like, bro, I don't care where we get the leads. We can close. We'll get the lead.
Yeah. But my God, you could do the same effort for a 3 when you want 20s, right? We're trying to get you to 1 million, right? We need bigger jumps.
Exactly.
And that's not, some days you think it's going to be 20 and it turns into a 4, right? Like that shit happens. Weird stuff happens. But, let's fish think of this. This is like you're going out fishing, right? On the dispo side. So I want to be in the pond with the most number of fish, right? I don't want to be in grandpa's, little pond covered with lily pads. It's got, one guppy and a frog with 3 legs, right? And I'm trying to do deals there. I want to go in that nice, fresh new pond that the rec department just dug and filled with a boatload of bass. I want to go in the place where it's going to be easiest to make money. So that's always how I pick my markets, right? Where are the places with the most buyers? I look real quick and like, have rental prices been going up? Yeah, that's an indication that there's a lot of activity in the market, right? So if there's rental rates are going up year over year, that means probably investors are flooding there to go buy inventory, right? Because they know their returns are going to increase. I don't want to be in some place smaller than like 250,000 people. I know some people want to be in the mega markets, but you could certainly do fine in 250 and above. And there's just something going on there that means there's cash sales. And once you find one, like for me, my base market is Chattanooga. So I'll gauge all other markets based off of this, right? So I'll run Chattanooga and say, I just want cash sales, just the number of cash sales in the last 6 months. Great. And then I'll go to this. I'm like, I'm thinking about going to Raleigh. I'll do the same thing and I'll run cash sales for the last 6 months. Is there an equal or more number of cash sales? Great. That's where I want to be, Okay. That's all I'm looking for. I'm just looking. I just want to know that there's going to be buyers for the, for the stuff I've got. You know what I mean? So dude, I got an ice cream truck and it's regular Haagen-Dazs and I'm not taking it to the gluten-free people, right? Because they're not going to buy any of my shit. I just want to be in the place where, I want to be at the fat kids camp where they all want ice cream,
What's your pitch like for the MLS list? I never did it because we started building other companies when that came into vogue. I've done it one time with someone. Are you generally telling the seller, or are you just being like, "Hey, we just throw it up as part of our disposition"?
You talking about
call it innovation? We just have it in the agreement that we can list it on the MLS.
Yeah, I've always had that in mind. And the way it started for me was sometimes I would want to put a sign in front of the house. So I just have if you look in your portal is our contract, it just says that buyer has the right to list this on MLS for potential what does it say? Potential buyers or for rent, something like that. But no, you've got to tell them. You have to tell them, hey, we're going to throw this on MLS before we close on it, just to start gauging some interest. It's easier if it's not occupied. If it's occupied, it gets a little clunky. You run the risk of it going bad. I had one deal here in Chattanooga. It was 3 houses right next door to each other. All of them were rented. And we had an open house set, and like, geez, my realtor was there with 2 agents. And I pulled up at 11:15, whenever it was supposed to start. And there's 6 cop cars. And one of the tenants got really freaked out, wouldn't let anybody in the house, called the police, called the landlord. So the landlord sat in front of the house for 2 hours during the open house. It was an absolute mess. So yeah, you're just going to have to tell them, hey, either I'm going to close on this or I'm going to bring in, one of my investor buyers, and, we're going to have to, have a time for a walkthrough. So you kind of get really only one shot with listing it. I don't know. It's unless you're going to do innovation and just straight up tell them I'm going to list it on the market.
Okay. Because I know Eric Klein lists everything.
Yeah, I don't love it, man. I'll be honest with you. I know I spoke at Eric's event this weekend. I was talking to him. I don't love the listing on the market because, when we ran, I had a team of 5 dispo agents here in the office. So I'm paying you to go find the buyer. right? So when you come to me and say, hey, I found an agent who has a buyer, I'm like, well, shit, now I got to pay you. I got to pay the agent. I got to pay everybody. And, if you're running Investor Lift and you've got a halfway decent process, what buyer is an agent going to bring to you that you can't find yourself? Only the guy who literally just landed here yesterday from California who has not bought a property yet.
Yeah.
Because if anybody's bought a property, they got to be a public record, right?
That's true. And then so that dispo agent's just calling through Investor Lift essentially.
Yeah.
Looking for buyers.
Yeah. There's plenty of buyers there. But, and then the worst thing is, they bring me a buyer and that buyer turns out that they were on their call sheet and they just never called them. That pisses me off.
Oh my God. You wouldn't get paid.
Yeah. That's my question is, what the fuck are you doing? You literally had this person on your list. You just didn't fucking call them, it's, yeah. Investor Lift has just changed the game and made it so much easier. But, if you want to do it the hard way, go to PropStream, pull a list of buyers, skip trace them, and just, start dialing. Sooner or later, you'll sell your deal. Just depends on how much, it's going to be a lot more work.
I'd never used Investor Lift until we started to use them for this. Yeah. And I think it is an amazing product.
Dude, it's amazing. It really. Now, listen, it's the best drill that's ever been invented. You still got to take it out of the box and know how to put some bits in it and use it. But no, it's an incredible tool, dude. I was using number 9 on the system when it first started, the first 6 months of it. And shit, dude, it used to be $10,000 a month. And I think he took a percentage of our deal too. So it's cheap now compared to what it was. And it does 10 times more stuff.
Oh, bro, I can't rave about it enough. It's helped us out a lot.
Yeah.
So we want to avoid North Midwest is what you're telling me.
Yeah, man. I'll find that graphic. I have it buried somewhere in one of my computers. But yeah, I sort of went from New Jersey and drew a line kind of down around the Midwest, and I left the West Coast, Seattle, and all that stuff. But kind of everything in that northern area, man, I just killed it. I killed it out of all my PPC because you'll get leads, but man, it's so hard to move them up there. There's not enough buyers. You want to be in a place where you get at least a couple people competing for your deal, right? You want to kind of be the hot chick at prom, right? You want to bring something that's desirable. But if you get some old landlord who doesn't give a crap if he buys another property or not, man,
that's brutal.
It's hard. It's hard to pop your 20s up there, right? He'd be like, yeah, I'll buy it. It just gets difficult, And that's
what I'm going for too, is 25s. If we can aim for 25s, we'll get our goals.
Yeah, dude, you only got to do 40 deals. That's easy.
Right? That's a lot easier to where with this Midwest stuff, we'd have to do essentially 3 deals to get 1 regular deal.
Right.
And that, for me, it's heavy on the operational side. Just the coordinating all the contracts we have right now with our one person, she's on the phone all day.
Yeah. Yeah, I would pull that and just stay in the southern areas. So the first thing I did was I killed the north. Then I killed all the non-disclosure states. And there's 11 of them. I think it's 11 because they're so hard to deal with, right? And I know we came on to talk about transactions, but we can talk about all the stuff. Because here's the way that I always do my deals. I've never been the ARV minus times 70 times 0.70 minus repairs. That seems ridiculous to me because I don't know the cost of tile and roofs in Poughkeepsie, right? Who fucking knows? So what I do, and I've done this for over 10 years, is when I'm comping, I just want to look at what cash sales are. That's all I care about. Don't care. We look at ARV for promotion, right? For selling the deal. But I just want to see what has sold around this property that's cash, because our properties are a commodity, right? That's all that they are. So if I know I have a 1970 block ranch house on a 1/4 acre, I'm going to run all the cash sales and just look at what's similar, because the market has already said what that will sell for. Yeah, the market, it's an open book fucking test. All you got to do is just click through and go, okay, on Google Images, does this one look like mine? Nope. Does this one? Yep. Does this one? Yep. Does this one? Yep. First off, they're your buyers, and they have the people in that market have told you what the price is. So if they're buying them at 90, I got to contract it at 70 or 65, and we're done. Let's go.
So tell everybody who's watching this who doesn't know what a non-disclosure state, because Utah's a pain in the ass. I started in Utah, and we don't do anything out there anymore. But it's non-disclosure state, super competitive.
Really?
Yeah, you're talking about.
Yeah. So a non-disclosure state, the people in the state have decided that they don't want their records to be public, right? So what that means is the purchase price of when it comes to real estate, the purchase price is not listed online with the property appraiser. The property appraised amount, which is just a number they tax against, which is fucking worthless. That might be there, but the actual $97,499, whatever, that will not be shown online. So the only thing that you will get, the only data that you can get in those markets, is something from Privy or PropStream that shows the MLS data, which is cool. Ish, right? But here's the problem with that. And this is why I always caution people, like, that's not cash sales. Yeah. Right. Typically, those are fixed up properties. Yeah, there's some junkers in there too, but that's a fixed up property, right? So I have no way to do the math and go, oh, it resold at 180. But the guy who bought it, and that's how you should look at these rehabs, right? Anytime you see rehab is, okay, cool, the ARV was at 180, but what did the guy buy it for? All right, that's the real number, because this is the number where we're at. Right. So if he bought it for 100 and sold it for 180, well, shit, he bought it at, what's that, 60 cents on the dollar or whatever. So, I need to be at 75 or 80 because that's the only number that matters. Well, that number's not available in a non-disclosure state. It's just not. It's not there. So you got to kind of guess. You got to start doing, algebra, calculus, just figure out, okay, that price, times 0.6 or 0.7 or 0.75, and then we're going to subtract repairs, and it just gets really clunky. And I'm asking my acquisitions guys to be, Nobel Prize math people, and that's just not what they are. So the only state that I've ever made an exception for is Texas, because it's so fucking big. Yeah. you kind of, there's so much volume there. You've got to figure it out in Texas. But other than that, I got out of the North, got out of non-disclosure states because I ran a high-speed wholesale company, man. We wanted to churn and burn constantly. And, I want to take as many of the speed bumps out of the business as I could, because a simple business is a scalable business.
Yep. And one thing that has been a challenge for me, I've wholesaled nationally, but not at scale. And knowing how to come around the country at scale, I give RJ Bates props, bro.
Yeah.
Because it's at times it's challenging because I don't fucking know. We got to list this thing on the MLS. Because essentially what with some of these semi-rural ones, like I forgot Minnesota as a state even existed. Right. And getting like these random ones in like Minnesota. Yeah. But today, we're hiring on sales reps, and I had the dude offer the woman something 20 to 40 grand, and I think it's worth like 180. And it's fully fixed up, but there's nothing in the market.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. I mean, if you bought it, listen, everything will sell for a certain price, right? No matter what house it is, if I got it for $1, you could sell it. So we do know that there's a point where price will overcome everything. But is that reasonable? And is that something that you can do repeatedly? So yeah, same thing happened to me. I went to Buffalo. I picked Buffalo, and I picked it as a county because I was running PPC there, because a hedge fund was there. A couple of hedge funds were there. Well, what happened is I got this, Buffalo, the county is like a big rectangle, and only Buffalo that's up by the Great Lakes is where the people are. The rest of it is all rural farmland. So we're picking up these houses out there. We're literally one sale within 20 miles in the last year. Who the fuck's going to buy that? They're not. Like, all that time was wasted. One, I wasted my marketing dollars. Or, if you're using Lead Zolo, maybe that's not the best lead to buy. But, my acquisitions guy, and then underwriter, and then it gets to Dispo, and then we're paying for pictures, and we're paying to send out, skip trace buyers. You know what I mean? You're just beating your head against the wall. So that's why I say like half, and then, or low, and then half of that. I want them to say no. I'm going to give you on price. Please say no. I've done that, and we've gotten houses for $3,000 because sometimes people are just so damn desperate, right? But you have to understand, as wholesalers, like, do not just give people whatever they want, right? Because one, you're going to piss them off, right? Our job as a wholesaler and an investor is to make things better. Putting something under contract that you can't sell, you're just fucking with people, right? Like this is their life. When we call them up and we tell them, sign this contract, I'm going to make this happen. Like people start doing shit in their life, like packing up and planning to move. This is why we're having regulation in our business, because there are a lot of just dickheads out there that don't care and cancel contracts like it's nothing. These are real people. These sellers are real people, right? The buyers, don't get arrogant about, telling this guy it's only 350,000. That's 350,000 real fucking dollars that somebody's got to wire out of their account, right? So, just be mindful of that. I know we get all cocky sometimes being investors and wholesalers, and we got our Rolexes and Lambos and all that bullshit, but we're dealing with real people.
What are the best practices that your most successful clients follow with like transactions?
Yeah, really good at, again, asking all those questions and providing us with as much info on the front side. You've seen it where you upload your contract. We just I need the seller's name, phone number, address, what type of deal it is, where it's wholesale, novation, sub 2, any of that, what type of property it is. But at the bottom, there's it's a little it doesn't say tell me a story, but it's like more information. Like that's the spot to just give us as much of a heads up as you can. Because what's going to happen when we get that property, we're immediately going to call your seller and, we're going to fill out our seller doc, and we're going to start trying to figure out all the information that we can. So, as soon as I get the contract from you, somebody on our team starts working on it, because we want to be ready by the time, you get your assignment contract, because we want to get these things closed just as quick as possible. So, that's it for us. You're just giving us a head start, again, when we're talking to that seller, we've got that seller, we're collecting 4 or 5 pages worth of information, but it's not the seller doc that's the magic. It's that our team looks at it and goes, oh, okay, dead person. we know we're going to need to do stuff. New checklist, right? Obituary, death certificate, draw me a family tree of who all the heirs are so that we know who we're going to have to contact, who we're going to have to round up for closing, right? Who are some disinterested parties that we're going to need an affidavit from. So that's one of the biggest things is just, good job on the contracting, right? You're contracting at the right price, so you're not going to have fallout, right? I can do the best job on your TC work, but if you can't sell it, we've all worked for nothing. And then just giving me as much info as you can. And then the last thing is, here's the next step. Like that term, you should use that every place in your business, right? So yep. when we're done and we're under contract, I created a script for my acquisitions team. It was like, hey, Mrs. Smith, congratulations, we're under contract. Here's the next step, right? Because again, we do this shit all day long, every single day, right? We're very nonchalant about it. Trust me. Like my sister bought her first house and I'm like, oh, that's great. And I wasn't excited because we buy 15 fucking houses a week, right? But to the people that don't do this every day, this is a big deal, right? And there's a lot of anxiety and nerves about it. So, this is the reason realtors exist, right? To kind of hold their hand. So, hey, Mrs. Smith, here's the next step. Somebody from our transactions team is going to reach out to you within the next 24 hours, and they'll be your point of contact from here all the way to closing, and they're going to collect all the information that the title company needs. But if you need anything, you're always welcome to call me, but, they will handle this all the way through closing, right? Hey, here's the next step. We're going to send somebody out to do an inspection and take some pictures, right? Just telling people what the next step is so crucial, because I made this mistake in the beginning too, when I was just starting and I was a solopreneur and I'm trying to do everything myself. And, you're doing your acquisitions and then you get a couple leads and now you're talking to people and then you're running around and you're getting people under contract. And then you kind of switch hats and now I'm just focused on dispositions. And then I get a buyer and now I'm trying to find a title company and get all that. It's really easy to forget to call your seller every week, right?
So easy. It is so easy.
I'm telling you, man, I've gotten 4 or 5 weeks down the road and I call the seller, what's today? Tuesday. Hey, Mrs. Smith, congratulations. We're going to be closing on Friday. And she's like, who are you?
Yeah.
We talked 5. I didn't know that was real. Right. I'm not packed. Cause I didn't call her because I just assumed that she knew and or even worse, you call her because she's on the same list for you that she was, and you call her and she's like, yeah, I thought that guy Davey was buying my house. He seemed like a good guy, but I haven't heard from him. So sure, I'll sign your contract. Yeah. This is how people end up under multiple contracts, right? So which is why, our transactions company, because I built it for my wholesale company, we do the same thing for you. We're going to touch base with those sellers every week, whether it's phone call, text, email, just something, right? Hey, Mrs. Smith, we're targeted to close on July 21st. Everything is moving forward. If you have any questions, let me know, right? Just that littlest bit of touch will save so many deals.
Do you have memorandum paperwork for all the states that we operate in or no?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to.
Now, let me say this. there's a charge, right? Because we have to charge it for whatever the cost of filing the notice is, plus like $20 or $25. But there are some counties where you can't. Like there are some podunk counties who are still not online. So those, they have to be, mailed in. So in that case, we'd send you the form and say, hey, sign this, notarize, and just mail it in with your check, and I wouldn't charge you for it.
Do we need, in California, you need dual consent to file a memorandum?
Okay.
Do you need that everywhere?
No, most places are unilateral.
Yeah, in California, you cannot file a memorandum unless you have dual consent and it's signed at, like, essentially with your original contract.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Then you can file your memorandum.
Yeah.
So that's why no one files them out here.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things. That's a thing that investors have absolutely abused the last couple of years. And in Tennessee, there's actually a law prohibiting falsely filing a notice of contract or memorandum, and like the penalties are stiff. Like they're a lot. So yeah, it's one of those things. You got to watch out for it.
Okay. Do you think we should file a memorandum with every deal and just pay you guys for it?
Don't find them for every deal. You can't. You certainly can, right? So again, this comes back to our job as wholesalers. If you don't buy the contract, or buy the house, you really need to release that contract, right? So whatever it costs you to file it the first time, you're going to have to file again to release it. I'm not a fan of, people just locking stuff up and filing a memo on it. And this is there are people that are taught to do this, and then they just wait. They just wait for someone else to try to buy it, and then they try to extort them for $4 or $5 grand, right? Now, when should you file a memo? To me, if I feel like it's, the house is occupied and I'm a little unsure that, one of my investors might go over there and try to snake the deal, right? Or, halfway through the process, the seller starts getting real sketchy and, I don't know, doesn't want to sell, or maybe a realtor's convinced him not to sell to me, then we'll file it. Especially if I've got a buyer lined up, right? I want to protect that deal. So yeah, it's kind of a judgment call, but dude, doing every one will get expensive, and I feel like you should release it if you can't find a buyer. So
yeah, if you can't find a buyer, obviously, but I've had people try and snake out of deals all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
And in California, we don't have memorandums. You can't really hold anybody to do anything.
Really? Yeah, I mean, same thing for me, right? I've had people who try to get a little bit squirrely, and then the realtor calls me, and I've been pulled over on the side of the road. And this was a deal in Charlotte, a nice townhouse that we were making a ton of dough on, and the seller, for some reason, changed their mind or talked to their realtor, and I'm like, hey, listen. She's like, yeah, they just don't want to sell to you. I'm like, okay, I get it. Hey, let me ask you this. If the shoe was on the other foot and your seller really needed to close next weekend, and I had signed a contract, and at the last second I wanted to change my mind, would you hold my feet to the fire? Well, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's all that we're doing. And I'll say, there's a reason we all sign contracts, because our handshake's not good enough anymore. And, this is our contract. We are ready, willing, and able to perform. What day would your seller like to close? That's it.
If you guys, everyone should go back and replay that one, because that is a great thing to have. Because that time will come. It's not if that time comes.
100% it's going to show up.
Coming.
Yeah. And that, that I always turn it around and say, what would you do if you were in my position? All right. Like, especially with realtors, because they're, they 100% would string us up for not closing on a deal. So yeah, I mean, I've used that a bunch of times. It works every single time. What would you do if the shoe was reversed and your seller needed to close, and I just decided to walk away at the last second? You would do everything you could to make sure that I closed on that property. That's all that we're doing.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
What else are they doing? What else are your best performing clients doing?
Just operationally, same thing when you get over to dispo, making sure that, the expectations that you're giving your buyer lines up with what, is going on with your seller. So, it's a bankruptcy and it's going to take us 4 weeks to get a court order to release this property from the bankruptcy. Great. Don't send it over to dispo, or let your dispo guys know that, hey, if you sell this tomorrow on the first day, don't let your buyer say he wants to close in 5 days, right? Because if you do that, then then you're going to have a pissed off buyer because you couldn't close quick enough. So again, here's the next step. Just keeping people really informed. I mean, those are really the big things. And honestly, once we start the TC work, not getting in the middle of it, that's where we see so many deals get screwed up. Somebody wants to jump into an email chain and, now like they're the only person getting emails and not us. And then, things start to go sideways. So just, letting the process work. Those are a couple of the big things.
On the dispo side, I have a pretty hard and fast rule that nobody's allowed to walk it without giving me an offer first. Am I being short-sighted? I might go. We're all professionals here. Big boy pants.
I'm a real buyer, and I don't know that I would do that. I'll be honest with you. Some people will, some people won't. It depends on your property, right? So are these properties that are occupied?
So we have a couple that are occupied, yeah. And so there's no reason for me to go organize that whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. I see. I definitely recognize the problem there. So here's what I would do. I would make sure that I had really great pictures and video. Right. So if a property's occupied, the person I send out there, we use, EZ REI notaries. They'll go out and do stuff. But I would want to make sure I have a really good video, slow video going through each room and 50 to 100 pictures, depending upon the size of the house. Then, when I'm sending it out, the conversation I'll have with my buyers, hey, Stratton, go ahead and take a look at the pictures. Here's what I do. Give me what your best number is, of course, pending a walkthrough if we accept your contract, something like that, because I would say, hey, listen, there's people living in the house. I can't run people through like it's Grand Central Station. If it was vacant, I'd get you in there today. So you can do that, right? Hey, give me your best offer based off the pictures, and 100%. You'll have a walkthrough before closing to verify that everything is what we talked about. Those pictures were taken 3 days ago, right? Mm-hmm. So, Matterport is even better if you can do that, but that's time consuming and sometimes costs a little bit more money. But yeah, that's how I would handle it. Or, hey, give me your best number. We're going to let the top 3 people walk through.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
Hey, give me your best number. We're going to let the top 3 people walk through. Yeah. We just can't run everybody through it. It's a waste of our time.
So then, you'll give me that number and I'm like, okay, so barring anything out of the ordinary, you're good at this number. This deal works for you at that number. So I'm always asking that. One more question, right? Like, okay, man, cool. I think I can get you on this list, but just so we're clear, like you're at 182, providing anything, nothing crazy pops up, right? So that kind of goes back to that's a great place to seg back to acquisitions, right? That hey, Mrs. Smith, here's the next step. Somebody from our transactions team is going to call you, and after you get through what the next steps are, and hey, just to be super clear, we agreed at 162 based on all the information that you've told me. Of course, if we go out there and there's anything different, certainly it makes sense that we would have to come back and talk about the price, right? Make them say yes, right? Because that's that marker in the sand that you're going to now I run my buyers through there, right? And there's something I didn't know. Now I can go back. Hey, Mrs. Smith, remember when we talked, well, this is a legitimate thing that's happened. We found a wall full of bees in one of our properties. Hey, I know the tenant didn't tell you, but it's going to cost us, $8,000 to open up that wall, remove the bees and put it back together again. If we can get if we can get that $8,000 off the price, I can close it next week for you. So yeah, that's certainly a good thing, right? But your buyers are always going to tell you why your deal sucks. They'll always give you a reason to go back for a reduction if you need it, if it's outside of, if it drops you below your number.
Who goes back for you guys, or who went back for you guys to make that renegotiation? Is that the dispo team or the acquisitions rep?
Acquisitions always has the best track record. Yeah. Dispo really doesn't talk to them a whole lot, other than maybe scheduling a walkthrough or something.
Okay.
And even then, for us, we were so scaled out. I had an admin person that handled a lot of that stuff. So really, Dispo just did Dispo.
We've been using Home Jab, and I think they're good. But then there's no phone number, bro. We have a lot of stuff going on with them. We can't get a hold of them. They didn't have somebody show up on Saturday. The seller's pissed off, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we started out using BPO Photo Flow. They were one of the first people. Did a great job, but they would show up out there, and if nobody answered the door fast enough, they would literally go take like 5 pictures of the outside and jet. Didn't matter if you paid for walkthrough videos or all that shit. So, Notable Notaries, that's really who we use. We just have a partnership with them, but they're at least run by investors, and I've talked to the owner. They'll put on lock boxes, they'll take pictures, they'll post notices, they'll do freaking everything. You should get them set up as an affiliate.
Oh, bro, I will, because we're using home jab, and I mean, what is that? We pay if we're trying to get. I was like, do we want to shell out $300 plus another $100 on investor lift every transaction?
Yeah.
I was like, if we add that up, bro, that's gonna be a lot of cash at the end of the day with how many transactions we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's an easier way to do it. You know, what I used to do in the old days, back when I was younger, skinnier, and had more energy, we would literally go on Craigslist and put an ad, Facebook, gigs, and put an ad that says, hey, my company's hiring, or my company's buying properties in your area. We need somebody that can take photos or do property inspection for us. And we could pay like $75. But the problem is that's very time consuming because you got to put the ad and then you got to talk to people and so you're going to get idiots there too that make appointments and don't show up. So, finally we got to the point where notable notaries they were the answer. It was a little bit more, but my God, they were so much more responsive. So
I'm going to get with them. If you could put me in a group chat with them, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Jab has been okay. And then we've been using Thumbtack in certain areas.
Yeah. And, Steven, that owns them. He's really good. So I'll connect you because I just connected him with Robert the other day. So I'll get you.
Sweet. What other things should we be looking for in our transactions to make sure they go smoothly? Because you guys are touching base with the seller. It takes a lot of pressure off of the wholesaler so they don't have to keep touching base with that seller, and you can pass it off and you can trust that it's going to go smoothly. Yeah. That's why I called you, because I knew the amount of transactions that are going to be there. The amount of work you guys put into that and make sure it all runs smoothly is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, because really we take over the minute you've got that contract signed. You're going to hand that over to us, and it's like a baton in a relay race, right? You're just handing it off to us. Go get your next deal. Go sell this deal. Go do whatever you want to do. Well, we literally take that whole backside of your company and run it all the way to closing.
What else?
It's pretty simple. Yeah.
So we want to avoid non-disclosures. I'm going to text Drew today.
Yeah.
Non-disclosures, I hate, and I should have thought about that. I'm just trying not to be too picky, right? Like just do the deals.
I get it.
But then like the northern stuff, we got to pull out of these little markets where we're doing deals for pennies. Like it's a negotiation over $1,000 and it still takes 30 minutes to close that deal.
Right.
That's to me has been the big hiccup, to where we locked up one today to where it'll be like a $30,000 to $40,000 assignment. Mm-hmm. Slightly better area.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a commodity. Like there's traction in the area, not a ton of deals.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those are the big things. You just make sure you're fishing in the right pond. Make sure you're fishing in a place where there's good demand. It's Forrest Gump stupid, right? It's not that complicated, but it's a lessons you learn, man. After, I did like 1,600 deals before I opened the transactions company and spent a lot of money in all the wrong places, man.
Oh yeah. I need to get I still want to get one of your transaction coordinators on once a week.
Yeah, maybe we'll get Hannah, somebody, because I think we probably have your deals spread out over a couple of them. But I can get
spread them out. Do you spread them out by like region?
Region or transaction type. Like, we have some people that are maybe better at novations, some that do installment sales, some, that really specialize. Okay. Like the New York, we have one guy who's really good at New York, because it's a pain in the ass state. So some of those states are like the dual attorney states. Like we have some people that really are really great at that. So yeah, I mean, they do it internally. Plus they're always, our coordinators all have between 60 and 80 files. So we're always trying to balance the load. I don't want one person at 150 files and one person at 30, we'd kill them. So, they're all trained the same way. They all follow the same process, same emails, same everything. So it's the same service, just across a couple of different people.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. Because I was thinking about that. I was like, who could we have hop on with us to talk about it? Because I think we have like 5 or 6 different people on our files.
Yeah. So and there's always team leads that oversee all that. And then I have one manager, Steve, that handles, all of the stuff. But yeah, I can get Hannah on, or, one of the girls can come on that handles at least a couple of them and talk about them.
Okay. So that'll be great promo.
Yeah. Once they close, those are the ones that we'll bring them on and we can really dig deep into them.
Yeah, and that actually will be really good content, because I don't know what the fuck's going on. That's why we pay you guys, so we don't have to worry about any issues.
Dude, I used to be good at it. I used to think I was good at it, and I mean, I'm better than 99% of the people out there. But now I walk around my office and listen to the stuff they're doing. I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I'd have thought to do that. Like they, especially Hannah, Hannah and Heather, they've taken it to such a, they're so good at it, man, solving some of this weird, complex stuff. Like where do what happens when, a bank closes and your mortgage goes someplace else, but you don't know who has the mortgage signed off, and where does it go? Well, they know exactly who in every state to call for that kind of stuff. It's unbelievable. But I mean, you do 4,000 files. This is what happens, right? Stuff that would kill your deal if you were trying to do it yourself. You'd be like, oh fuck, I don't know. And we kind of did it by design that way. All of our coordinators, we've talked about this before, they're paid a good salary, plus they get a commission. So they're incentivized to get your deal over the finish line.
Oh, yeah. Where can people find out more about you besides getezclosings.com? I think I got a great domain.
That's the best place if you want to call, and that'll take you to a little video of the two of us. Probably looks a lot like this. And, where we're just chatting it up a little bit about transactions. But underneath there is a little blue box that says book a call. And that's probably the very best place. You can jump on a call with me or someone on our team. And, let's talk about, what's going on in your business. What are your goals? What are your plans? What states are you in? And then we can get real specific too. We can show them the portal and do all that type of stuff. But then just for me, I'm just on Instagram. It's my name, David Olds, REI, and we post a ton of content on there, and all kinds of stuff, business and real estate related.
And the portal's sexy. How much money did you spend building that out?
So much, man. Let me just tell you, when I had that in my brain, because the thing was, this whole company was created because I've been doing this for 22 years, and I've been fucked over and lied to by so many title companies. So we had a couple of things that we wanted to do in the very beginning. I'm like, I want to have an app or a place where, you can go at 2:00 in the morning on a Tuesday and see what's going on with 123 Main Street, right? So that was kind of how it started. And then we were whiteboarding it. I'm like, okay, well, things go through different processes. So I want people to be able to see their deal moving kind of through that process, like the Domino's pizza tracker. And then it's like, okay, well, I want to be able to click it, and it was a lot. Like it took probably 4 or 5 months to get it developed. And then, it's never just that, right? That links, that's your side. Our side is something completely different. And I don't know if you've ever done anything with software, but man, my IT guy every week is in my office. Well, we need this add-on, this, it just seems like it never stops. My phone just buzzed. It was like $1,000 for something else. Like technology is so expensive. It's unbelievable. It's the one thing in this business I never dreamed was going to eat up as much money as it does.
Hey, but the portal's sexy though.
You know what, dude? It's so simple. I literally, I tell people I'm not that smart. I made it for me. I wanted it to be very easy to log in, see where all your stuff is at, be able to click on it, have, good details, which our team, I'll put our note-taking ability up against anybody. All the contracts are there, all the correspondence is there, just everything is there. I tell people with our portal and with our coordinators, you'll have better control over your deals than you would if you did it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a raving fan.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate it, dude. We're thrilled to be working with you on this project.
Of course. Thank you. And thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to go to getezclosings.com if you want. If you are a business owner, TC work needs to be done, but it doesn't necessarily make us money. If you're anything like me, we are good at selling shit. Let's sell shit. Let's let other people handle the operations. That's my personal belief in business.
All right, my man. I'll talk to you soon. Reach out if you need anything in between, and we'll get another one of the coordinators scheduled for next week.
All right. Thanks, man.